Hey everybody, it's Jane Johnston.
And I'm Sean Provencher, and we are with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun.
So welcome. We're going to be doing our monthly market update to October 31st, and today is November 4th. So, Sean, what's your impression of how the market's doing?
You know, it's funny, we were talking about halfway through last month, and we were debating if we'd be landing in a buyer's market because we've been seeing the amount of inventory steadily climb. Um, August and September are usually slower months as people enjoy the last bit of summer and then kind of get back into the rhythm and get their kids into school. So we had that this year with, really not crazy sales figures. But October actually showed up with good activity. We had a lot of sales this month. So that's really positive for our market to keep chugging along because we've been kind of worried about it recently.
Yeah, when I was looking at the stats, it appears that the single family home market is doing well. The condos, though, are kind of still slow. So, year over year, just for the big picture, our sales for this month, they were 654 last year, 617 this year, so down 5.6%. New listings, however, are also down, so that's good. That increases our absorption rate. So we were at 1,204 last year for October, and this year we're at 1,131. And then active total listings. Last year we were at 3,162. This year we're at 3,423. So only up 8.25% year over year, but we're down from the previous months. So that's good. That means there's a little more for sellers is good because it moves us more into a seller's market.
That inventory level is really the important one when I look at it because I mean, we've had 3,700 listings at the end of the last few months, coming into this month to finish just a little bit lower. I know it doesn't seem like much, but when you contrast that against the fact that we also had a good month of sales, we were sitting at just about 7 months of inventory in August and September, and we're down to 5.5 now. So if we would have stayed at that higher level much longer, it would have really changed the tables and how people negotiated. And feeling it drop back down by about a month and a half really puts us back in a nice place. I think we're going to finish the year feeling nice and steady.
Okay, agreed. However, I think we're also looking just at a seasonal variation happening right now. So, just normally the inventory does go down historically. We can show you the graph year over year. It does go down in November and December. A lot of people start to take their houses off the market. I'm getting messages from people right now, they're not interested. But I don't know, what do you think? I think people are affected by the time change and the like lack of light and just like
So
they want to rest.
people are, I know even myself, like I find this time of year, I'm kind of like, my days just become shorter. And I think that's true for everyone. You also have to think about just the showing window that a house is going to look good during, right? Like if people are able to go and see homes at 7 or 8 p.m. during the summertime and late spring, which is our like great market timing for us, this time of year, you need to be seeing homes almost during business hours. Otherwise, you're not going to really be able to get an understanding of the landscape and how light works within the house. These are really important factors. So I,
Yeah,
I, I think that's also part of it.
it speaks to what we were talking about before about when to get your house ready for market if you're thinking of listing in the spring, and that is get it ready during the summer, the previous summer. At least your outside photos. So,
Yeah, and I think you still have a shot at it if you really want to push hard this year and you're going to price realistically and have good marketing. Like, if you pick up the phone today, like the right agent can have it sold by the end of the year. I know we certainly can. But getting much past this, you're really starting to prep for listing in, late January, early February kind of thing because it does get kind of different towards the end of the year.
well, I mean, the advantage, as I was saying, some people are taking their houses off the market. And when I say houses, I mean condos and townhomes as well. But the advantage of having your house on the market right now is your list to sale ratio is very close. So you have a great opportunity right now to maybe sell if you haven't taken it off the market because everybody else is going to be off.
No, Yeah, I can't agree more. And I'm honestly like, I'm talking to people right now. I'm like, strategically, your best bet is to have it up over the winter period. If you're in an asset class that's been a little bit slower, like we've been saying, condos and townhomes are a little bit slower, especially depending on location. It's funny because you'll over between now and the new year, you'll often, especially in December, see lower showings. So you won't have as many people coming through. But here's the deal, if someone's taking time out of work to see your home during daylight hours and they're shopping during the holiday season, they're
They're
motivated.
serious.
They
Yeah.
yeah, they really want to make this happen. So it's not a huge hindrance to have a house on the market. The smart thing to do is just keep carrying it forward. Taking a break doesn't help sell the home. If your home isn't for sale, people aren't looking at it.
Right. That's true. So let's just look though where the hot areas of the market are in terms of like products. So first of all, single family homes have done well. So we were up 19.9% for single family homes over last month. That's incredible. We had 338 sales, just
Yeah,
homes.
that's a huge chunk. And over the past couple months, we've been kind of talking about how the marketplace, just because we did have an abundance of inventory, there's some people who are getting great deals out there. Now, when we look at sale prices, on average, they haven't moved, but we've seen that the single family homes, for example, have a wider price range than they did a few years ago. So they're
Yeah.
starting at a lower price. And I think a big part of the reason that we're seeing so much activity in single family homes is because people right now are looking at, they're like, now is the moment to make a jump. If I was going to upgrade, or maybe I'm in a price range that kind of buffers, like I could get a really nice townhome, or I could get a nice but not quite as beautiful or appointed, I get a nice single family detached. They're favoring the detached because it's a really nice market to jump into. And so I think it's kind of stealing some of those transactions from other market segments.
Yes, agreed. And I think like if you have the opportunity now to move into a single family home over the long run, it's just a better investment because you're not going to be the average of everything in your complex for sure.
Absolutely. The other thing that I think is really nice about, if you're able to make that jump, and again, this is like strategically a really smart time to do it. If you're able to do it, developers are building very few new single family homes compared with townhomes. So you think about what the landscape is going to look like 5, 10, 20 years down the road when, if ever you plan to sell the property. Every property sells eventually, right? So you always want to have resale in your mind. And down the road, our market is just going to continue to see the balance turn more and more and more towards row houses and duplex just because they're easier to develop. They've got a better profit margin for developers. It's really what the municipalities are pushing because of new zoning regulations. So if you're able to jump in, it's a really great time to just make that move and tear the band-aid off.
So of all of our listings right now, our hottest one is actually in South Oak Bay. It's priced at 1.35, and we have two groups of people who are looking at that home. One are people who are looking to renovate it and improve it and take it to the next level, which it has the great bones, but it needs to be taken down to the studs. And then the other group are the developers who are looking to see what the potential of the lot is for development. And they have kind of been, in and out because of the shape of the lot. So if you're sitting on a good property in Oak Bay, it actually is a good time to list at a reasonable price because there's a lot of activity out there.
Yeah, we're seeing a ton of activity in Oak Bay in all price ranges, kind of starting around that 1.3 price range. There's just not a lot below that. There's a spattering starting at about a million, but it gets busy in the 1.3 all the way up to 4 million plus. Saanich East has also been really busy. You can get into Saanich East for single family detached. We see a few sales starting around the 800 mark. And then again, it goes all the way up really consistently. They've got properties of every size and stature in Saanich East. North Saanich, kind of the same, but just smaller numbers. They don't have quite as many homes to sell up there. And then Langford's, I mean, there's just so much activity in the Langford. There's all kinds of stuff, but it does kind of get quieter after about 1.4 and a half. Once you get up to around the 1.5 mark, it starts to slow down a little bit.
So And I agree, and I think that's because there is a penchant right now for people looking for new construction. So all the areas that you're talking about have new construction happening, especially, surprisingly Sydney. But also condos are doing well in those areas as well. So Victoria, Vic West, Saanich East, and Sydney are all kind of the hot areas for condos, which kind of surprised me. But Sydney itself is really focused on increasing density, and there's lots of really nice places there. I do feel they're kind of priced at the higher end because some of them are ocean view, but there's a choice there for people. And then townhomes, again, it's mirroring what's happening in the condo industry. So we're looking at Victoria and Vic West, Saanich East, Colwood, and Langford. And again, it's the newer stuff because even though you don't get the square footage, you get the finishings. The finishings are nicer than they were in the 1970s. You don't
It's
have to listen
funny.
to neighbor.
Yeah, and with the cost of renovating, I know, yesteryear back before COVID, people used to say, well, you can buy a 1960s or 70s home and then you can do your own renos and make your own choices. It is really hard to renovate, especially if you're hiring contractors. Like if you're a DIYer, sure, you could still make it happen, but it's really hard, if not impossible, to renovate nowadays and get the same product as you could just going and buying resale or new construction because the cost of materials, the cost of labor, everything's just really expensive. So a lot of the time you are better to just pick up something that's already done and it was someone who either invested in their home before everything went crazy in terms of cost or a developer just because they have the economies of scale, they've got the experience, they know how to do cost management measures, and they can put out really nice product. And there's some beautiful stuff that's getting put out right now. They're doing a great job.
They are doing a great job. That being said, um, I still think there's opportunity for people if they're going to buy and hold because we have the larger range and price of property. So if they can buy at the lower level and if they are handy, I think there is opportunity there. But
Yep.
we have to look carefully at all of those just to see the quality of the product.
And the other thing I'll mention too, if you are looking at new construction, it's really exciting and you do get like a brand new, perfect, beautiful home. That's something a lot of people love. If you're doing that though, and you're doing it in an area where there's thousands of units forecasted in the next 5 or 10 years, it can be really tough on resale. If you look at new construction, it kind of has this arc that follows the warranty period. So first 5-ish years, it'll sell really quick. People love that product. It's kind of been not really worn in, but more that you've kind of lived it in. So you've taken the time to like put up the coat hooks and those little things that make a house comfortable. After the 5 to 10 year mark, they still sell really well, but they won't be as competitive against something that's brand new right around the corner. And after 10 years, they do slow down a little bit. I usually tell people that the sweet spot for living in a new construction home is usually around 7 years, I want to say 5 to 7. 5 years gives you some time for the market to appreciate. And we've had a really stable market, so we haven't had much of a lift by the market in the past couple of years. Um, and then you don't want to live in it too long. You want to ride up the market, but then before it starts to feel like older product compared with whatever else is new nearby, it's a smart idea to upgrade or move on to whatever you're doing next.
I think that's especially the case in relation to places like Colwood and Langford. However, I think though in Oak Bay, because we're seeing they've really sort of taken the bull by the horns with the density and allowing the development. I think that would be a good place to develop because they have a
Oh,
lot of large lots in there.
I couldn't agree more. And I am definitely talking about areas that face a lot of competition in terms of growth. Like something like Oak Bay, you're doing like infill. You're not building out entire subdivisions. It's going to be every product is so unique. I 100% agree. I don't think you're going to have the same type of competition because every property is going to be so different. The other thing in
Yeah.
Oak Bay is just because of the value of the community, the land, all that, the level that they build to is really spectacular. So it's not track housing with, upper mid-grade builder finishes. It's really high quality stuff. And so for that reason, it'll last better. Typically, they're built with a little bit of extra care. Like if you're buying an upper end detached in Oak Bay that's brand new, a lot of the time they come with all kinds of bells and whistles that you would never see in a traditional development, like, $50,000-$60,000 appliance kits and backup generators and stuff like that. That's really nice to have. So I agree, it's a different product.
Yeah. So, if you guys are interested in knowing what's happening in your neighborhood, we're happy to come by and talk to you about what the actual activity is going on. List price doesn't always mean what the sale price is, unfortunately. So we can give you in-depth information on that and let you know if your neighborhood is a hot neighborhood or perhaps it's something that, may be up and coming. We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talk about certain segments of the market like condos or certain areas that are a little bit slower right now. Um, that doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't do something you're planning to do. It's just something that you should factor in your plan. So if you're in an asset class that might take a little bit longer to move, it might actually be smart to list sooner so you have more exposure to the market. So don't feel like anything in this video is giving you a sweeping clue as to how you should proceed. Definitely the best next thing is to reach out, and we're always happy to have a chat and look at your specific situation.
Yeah, exactly. All right, you guys, we'll see you next month. Don't forget to check us out on our social media at Briar Hill Group on Instagram. And Sean, how do people get in touch with you?
You can find me on any social platform, Sean, Sean dot P dot Victoria, or you can call me up on my phone, 250-589-4166. I'm old school.
Okay, and if you want to reach me, you can reach me on my phone as well at 250-744-0775. Guess what? I'll pick up. And you can text me too, because it shows up in my car. And email me at briarhillgroup@gmail.com. All right, you guys, have a great day.